she wakes me up because she's done driving, and she says it's your turn. So I do my pre-trip, and we start looking for an empty trailer so we could pick up another load. And now we're in California. Um, so she calls a couple people. She finds out that we don't need an empty, so we go to where we have to pick up the load, and um, we go up to the door and we look at our paperwork, and our paperwork tells us exactly where the trailer is. And I go, oh, okay, so it's in this spot. And she goes, no, 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 no. You don't know if that's right, so you have to drive around the whole parking lot looking for the trailer. And I'm like, okay. So I drive around the lot, and what do you know? The trailer is in the exact spot that it's supposed to be in. So I hook up to the trailer, and I start trying to raise the landing gear and connect the trailer and, start my pre trip on the trailer. And she tells me, oh, you need to slide your tandems. And I'm like, okay. And she's like, do it now. And I'm like, okay. So I get in the truck and I go to slide my tandems. Um, and I wasn't taught how to slide my tandems. So like I'm struggling with it. I'm trying to figure out, okay, do I go forward? Do I go backwards? And so I have to keep getting in and out. And I'm doing this like probably it's taking me like 30 minutes to figure out how to put the tandems in the right place cuz she wants them on the fourth pin. But like I put them all the way forward cuz I'm like whatever, it doesn't really matter cuz it's a light load. Um so I put them all the way forward and I lock them into place, and then I start finishing checking the trailer. And then she comes into the truck and she goes, I wanted you to put it on the fourth pin. And I go, what does it matter? And she's like, well, if this were a heavy load, you would have to figure out how to do it. And I was like, but it's not. Like, I understand that she's trying to teach me, but like, my clock is ticking and we have to, be like 500 miles down the road before I'm done driving. And she's just like, no, I want it on the fourth pin. And I'm like, okay, whatever. So I get out and I unlock the tandems, and she gets out and she goes to check the seal. And she left her door open. So I sit in the truck and I'm waiting for her to come up, and I'm like, well, she's taking forever. So I go and I check out her door, and I see her at the corner of the trailer. I'm like, all right, cool. So I'm like, whatever, she's walking up, and I put the truck in reverse so I can go back, and it's not like I go back too far. So then I put the truck forward, go forward too far, and meanwhile, she's still out of the truck. So I keep messing with the tandems. I can't figure it out. She throws the bar down and she goes, just drive forward. And I go, okay. And she comes in the truck and she goes, you didn't even check where I was. You didn't know where I was. And I just go, whatever. I'm like, okay. So I just slide the tandems finally on the fourth pin, and I put in my loaded call to let my company know that I have the product, and I'm attached. And I put in my loaded call, and then I'm about ready to start driving. And she goes into my messages and she looks at my loaded call and she goes, you did it wrong. You need to redo it. And this loaded call, like, it has like 20 questions that you have to answer. Like, um, did you load the trailer? Was there a lumper fee? Um, what's the bill of lading, how heavy is it, how many pieces is it, what's the temperature of it for reefer units, what's the weight, what's the seal number, what's the trailer number, what trailer did you drop, how much gas do you have, all that information. And she wanted me to fill it all out again. And I go, fine, whatever. So I grab it, and by now I'm just pissed off because, like, she's wasting my time and she's taking an attitude with me. And, like, I was perfectly cool. I was just gonna act like nothing happened, and just move on. And so I put in a new loaded call, and I'm about ready to drive, and she goes, "Are you okay?" And I go, actually, I'm not okay. Like, you tell me that I'm not going to cut it as a driver, and I feel like if that's how you feel as a trainer, like, you're a shitty trainer, and I don't want to be in your truck. And she goes, well, if you feel that way, then go to Fontana, which was the closest yard to us. And I go, why? And she's like, if you don't want to be in my truck, then I don't want you in my truck. And I'm like, I'm just saying that as a trainer, you're supposed to believe that you can train anybody. Like, that's your job as a trainer. And if you don't feel that you could train them, then you need them out of your truck. And you told me that you don't think that I'll cut it as a driver, but that's your job. And she goes, just go to Fontana. So I type in, the road that I know that you have to get on to get to Fontana, and I drive down there, and I get off the freeway, and I go, okay, so we're on this road. Do I make a left or a right? And she goes, well, you didn't even ask me where you're supposed to exit. So this is Ricky's Always Right time, and you can figure it out. And I go, all right, well, I'm just going to make a left. And if I go the wrong way, then I guess you could fix it. And so I make a left, and I'm driving down the road, and like, it was 3 lanes, and I was told that we always have to end in the far right lane. So I make my turn, and then I realize that it's 3 lanes, so then I go all the way into the 3rd right lane, and then there's a sign that says this lane ends. And then she goes, this lane ends. And I go, yeah, I could read the sign. I fucking know how to read, and then she goes, whatever. And I start driving down the road, and I go, the next street that we have to turn on, do we have to make a left or a right? So I could prepare, because I'm in the far right lane, and the road is 3 lanes of traffic, And I mean, it's not busy because it's like 2 o'clock in the morning, but like, I still want to be prepared so I don't have to jump 3 lanes of traffic. And then she tells me, well, you said that it's Ricky's Always Right time, so go ahead and do it, whatever you think is best. And I'm like, you know what, whatever, I'm just gonna make whatever turn I want. And then she goes, you're not even listening to me. Like, I'm the trainer and you're the trainee, and you're supposed to do everything that I say. And I go, no, I don't have to do everything that you say. Your job as my trainer is not to boss me around. It's for me to learn. And you're not teaching me anything. You're just telling me what to do and when to do it. And that's not acceptable. That's not how you teach someone. And I was like, and it's not your job to tell someone if they're going to cut it as a driver. Like, I have given up so much just to get to this point. And you're telling me that I'm not going to cut it? That I don't have enough motivation to move past any issue that I have doing this job? Like, you don't even want to do it, and you've made it this long. And so, and she's a driver that's had, like 18 years of experience. So, she's just like, you're 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 scaring me. You need to pull over, because I was yelling at her. And I go, no, I don't feel safe pulling over on the side of the road. And she goes, you're scaring me. Pull over. You're not being safe. And I'm like, I'm not being safe. How am I not being safe? I'm going under the speed limit by 5 miles an hour. I'm maintaining my lane control, and I'm perfectly controlling the truck. And she goes, just pull over. And the street that I'm supposed to turn on comes up, and she goes, turn right here. So I turn right, and she tells me to turn into a parking lot right next door. And I'm like, no, like the yard is right up the street. Why would I turn there? And I just keep going. And she goes, the yard isn't up the street. You're lost. And I'm like, well, I'm lost because you fucking made me lost. So I pull into this area where you could see that trucks go into this. Like, it's a DC. And I go into this DC and I park the truck, and I'm like, you know what? You fucked it up. You can unfuck us. And so she ends up turning around. We go to the yard, and she pulls into the gate, and she stops right in front of the gate, and she says, get your stuff and get out. And I go, fine, whatever. So I start packing all my stuff, and she goes, you're going to get fired, and I'm going to make sure of it, because I told them that you can't see. Which, obviously I can see because I have a CDL. But the whole thing was, I can't really see at night. I have problems seeing in the dark, which is totally normal. A lot of people have the problem, and I told her before I even started driving in her truck that I can't drive nights because I can't see. I don't feel comfortable doing it. And it's something that has been an issue ongoing, but she told them that I couldn't see, and I was just like, whatever, you know. And then she was all like, and the guy that you talked to this morning, he talked to me and he told me everything you said. And I was like, good, that was the purpose of me talking to him, you know? And she's just like, whatever, get out of my truck. So I got out of her truck. I packed up all my stuff, you know. I sat in the yard waiting for somebody to come pick me up, and then I went home. But, like, it blew up, and it didn't even need to, because like, I had an issue with her, and she didn't let me talk to her about it when we came home to my house, you know. And then when we went to Phoenix, I tried to go about it another way, and she started attacking me because, I was trying to let her know that what she was doing was wrong. So, and then she wanted to hold a grudge against me. And, it wasn't right, and the whole time that I was with her, she was talking bad about my race, basically saying, because she's Native American, and she would sit there and be like, white people always try and act like they're Native American, and they're not. Like, they always come up to me and they say, I'm part Cherokee. And it's just like, I don't care if you're part Native American. You're not really Native American. You're just a white person pretending. And then she would say that she hates white people because they sit there and pretend all the time, and they try and say stuff that they think goes with her nationality, and it doesn't. And I'm just like, well, I'm not one of those white people, you know? Like, I'm curious about Native Americans, but I don't sit there and say, I'm Native, you know? But she just kept on, like, attacking me, and, like, I don't even identify as white, but she said that I was white because of my skin color. Um, and it's just, like, I felt like the issue between us was, she said that she got forced to be a trainer, and that she didn't even want to be a trainer unless if it was with this Native American girl that she had already talked to about training. And she was stuck with me, and I wasn't Native.